Hey Ron, how's it going?
Hey, Buzz, how are you?
Good. Did you get the files that I uploaded to Dropbox?
I did. You sent them at 3:38 in the morning.
No,
You're up late.
I think maybe your Dropbox time is set wrong or something. I wasn't up at 3. Well, I was, but I wasn't working on this.
Okay. I, I saw that come out of the email and I was like, okay, this guy, he's well past burning the midnight oil.
Now there's a PDF I sent you that has maps in it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go through that. The first thing is just the route we're planning. Do you see that one?
Yeah, Denver-Olympia.
Yeah, that one. So the first should just be a map, and it's just got the blue course we're going to take. And you can see that we've got a detour that takes us to the Pacific Ocean right after we go through Salem.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next page will show where there's DC fast chargers along the route. And those are
All the little orange ones. Yeah, I see
the
it.
orange ones, right? Okay. You'll see there's a big gap from Boise to over near Salem.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is actually solved by a hotel stay. The nice thing about that is we charge while we sleep, and typically when you charge at hotels, it's free. So it's like going to a gas station, but you don't have to pay for the gas. So go to the next screen and you'll see a bunch of green icons appear with the orange ones.
And that's the level 2 stations.
Yeah, those are level 2 stations. They're going to charge a lot slower, but if it's while we sleep, we don't care. So after Boise, we're going to stop at that first green icon that's not the ones clustered around Boise, but the one that's to the left of Ironside.
Mm-hmm.
See that one? Okay, that's a historic hotel in a town called Prairie. And so we're going to stop there while we're sleeping. We'll charge that night, and then we've got plenty of range to get to the DC fast chargers that are further west from there.
Okay, that's the one, if I'm correct, it's between the Umatilla National Forest and north of the Malheur National Forest.
Yes.
Okay,
And
and we're not planning on taking over the place, right?
taking over what place?
Malheur National Forest,
Oh no.
like those guys.
Now, if you click the next page in that document, you'll
Bunny
have
Bunch.
some more green icons show up. And what those are NEMA 50 plugs that have been registered with PlugShare. And so that is a 240 volt outlet. And we're going to be taking a portable charger with us so that in an emergency situation, we'd be able to plug into one of those.
Okay.
And then the next page, you'll see a bunch of little red icons come up. And there's a bunch of them between that hotel that we were just talking about and Salem, Oregon, which is to the west. Those are campgrounds.
Campgrounds, yeah.
Yeah.
KOAs. Okay.
Yeah, KOAs, things like that. Typically, they will have NEMA 50 plugs, so we can plug our charger in. You know, we might have to pay as if we're going to camp there overnight or something, and maybe we will. You never know. But that would enable us to charge at level 2 speeds if we couldn't make it to a level 2 charger. But again, everything I'm looking at looks like we can easily go from the hotel in Prairie all the way to Salem.
Yeah, okay. I get it.
And then that right on the Pacific Ocean, you see that purple thing that looks like an unfolding map? Map?
I see it.
Yeah, that's a hotel or a motel actually that is right on the shore. I mean, you are 70 feet from the water. And so we were talking about meeting some environmentalists out there that are concerned about plastic in the ocean. So that's an
Yeah, the
opportunity for
Inland
us to
Ocean
do that.
Coalition.
Well, if they're the ones that join us on this, you know, it'll be whoever wants to talk about the ocean that wants to join us on this thing. And then going up from there the next morning, we'll go through Portland and then up to Olympia, Washington, which is the planned turnaround point for the trip. And there are plenty of DC fast chargers on the way there. So I think I've got a map that works for us. It's going to take us through some pretty cool things. I'm going to zoom in to the charge point map, or the PlugShare map. Bear with me just a second.
Okay.
Yeah, so when we when we go through, we're going to go through Boulder. And is that where you live now, or are you in Denver?
Boulder.
Okay. So yeah, we'll go through Boulder, go up to Estes Park, and Estes Park has a DC fast charger, and we're going to actually climb. We're going to have some altitude change there. You know, you're down around 1 mile above sea level, 5,280 feet in Denver, and we are going to crest. And this is pretty cool on PlugShare. We can see a graph of elevation, and I put that into the spreadsheet that I sent you. But
That's it.
It is very steep from about 40 miles out of Denver, which would probably be Boulder. We'll be at 5,748 feet, and then when we get to the Alpine Visitor Center in Rocky Mountain National Park, we'll be at 11,511 feet. So that's gonna hit our range pretty hard. But then after that, we're gonna go from that 11,500 down to 7,400 feet. So there, we're gonna do a lot of regenerative braking. Instead of riding the brakes and heating them up, we're going to let the car use the forward inertia to generate electricity and put it back into the battery pack, extending our range. Now, I can't really predict what that's going to do to our range right now, but at the very least, when we come down to the town of Granby, Colorado, and Grand Lake also has a DC fast charger. We've got a couple of DC fast charging opportunities there. And then the next time we really need to stop, we're going to pass several DC fast chargers. So, and one of them is actually a new one that's being installed in Craig, Colorado, but we're going to go all the way to Dinosaur, Colorado. I thought with our theme of not needing fossil fuel, that would be...
I see it. That's awesome. I love the address. 101 Stegosaurus Freeway.
Yeah, and that's going to get us, we'll be right at the Dinosaur National Monument, and that's right on the border between Colorado and Utah. And
I
so,
gotta Google this. Stegosaurus. Is there like a dinosaur statue?
I wonder, yeah, if there is, that'll be a great photo opportunity. And on that spreadsheet, I've got check boxes showing where we're going to stay. We're actually going to pass Dinosaur, Colorado, that Vernal, Utah, which is...
This is on Route 40?
Yep, it's right there where suddenly we head straight south for a short segment on 40. Vernal, Utah is, let me find it on my spreadsheet here. They have a level 2 charger, but that's where we're going to spend the night. There's a hotel called the Dinosaur Inn. So again, staying with the fossil fuel theme. And that hotel has a level 2 charger. So we'll plug in all night long, top off the battery. And that will only be the second time we charge for the day. So that'll be while we're sleeping. We only have one en route charge, and that's the one in Steamboat Springs.
Okay.
Okay, after that, we'll take off to Salt Lake City, and if we can get some government officials to meet with us, and you know, our to-be-named later sponsor may provide a really cool vehicle for local people to come see. But if we can get the governor or the governor's designate to meet with us, we could either do that in Salt Lake City, or we could make it all the way to Ogden, Utah. Now, the cool thing about Ogden, Utah is that's Rocky Mountain Power, an electric utility there.
Yeah.
So, and you've been talking to them, I think. But,
I have. They're SEPA members, Smart Electric Power Alliance.
Oh, okay, great. So that gives us the opportunity to either speak to a politician and or somebody from Rocky Mountain Power while we're there. After that, again, we either charge at Salt Lake City or Ogden. Then we go on to Hayburn, Idaho. And the cool thing about Hayburn, Idaho is there is a Sinclair gasoline station. And my grandfather on my father's side used to own a Sinclair gas station. You know what their logo is, right?
Yeah, it's the Brontosaurus.
Exactly. It's a big green Brontosaurus. Well, they actually have a DC fast charger at the service station. So I want to stop and talk to the guy who owns that gas station. And you know, most people think that you're either for oil or you're for electric transportation, but you can't be for both. And this guy's obviously hedging his bets. He's straddling the fence. And so I want to talk to him. But he calls his store there the Sinclair Stinker Store.
Stinker Store.
Yes. And it's like, what? You know, so I've got a lot of questions I want to ask this guy. I think this is going to be something really cool for us to check out. So we will stop and charge there. There's a restaurant there, so I'm thinking that's lunch. And maybe that's where we can set up some mics and cameras and both talk to that guy that owns that Stinker Store, as well as, you know, any locals that want to talk about electric transportation. We'll move on.
Like the mayor of Hayburn? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. You're setting up all the people we're going to talk to, so that would be somebody good to talk to. But definitely the guy that owns that Stinker Store, and this will be a full charge. So depending on how fast our EV, because we still don't know what EV we're taking, we just know that we need 250 miles of range. But we'll probably stop there for 2.5 hours. We'll have a meal while we're there, and we'll talk to some people while we're there. And then it's on to Boise. And so in Boise, we'll have only gone 165 miles, but if we're going to meet with the governor or the governor's designee, then we might as well charge while we're there talking to them. So that's a charge opportunity that I think we'll take. And then, you know, again, back to the map, that's where we hit that big stretch of no charging stations, or at least no DC fast charging stations, but we end up, let me get this back up here again. We're going to end up in Prairie, Oregon, where there is a level 2 charger at a hotel, and it's called the Historic Hotel Prairie, so it'll be interesting to find out what the history is there. But
right, Prairie City, Oregon? Okay, I got it.
Prairie City, Oregon. And, you know, basically on that drive, we stopped in Boise to charge, and so again, during that day of driving, we're only stopping to charge once, and we end up at Prairie, and we'll just fill the car up overnight while we sleep again. And again, that should be free fuel for us, so we'll get to contrast that with the gasoline world and how you always have to pay for gas. Quite often in electricity, you don't have to. But that would be a great place. You know, they need a DC fast charger in that town. So I would love to speak. I mean, it's great that they have one at the hotel, but I think there's one Tesla port and one regular level 2 J1772 like our car will use. But I would like to speak with a state representative who has that district, or the mayor of the town. They may be unaware that the Volkswagen Dieselgate penalty provided funds to every state for charging infrastructure. So I would love to talk to them about, you know, setting up for charging there and getting a DC fast charger. Now after that, the next morning we get up, we'll drive 165 miles to Bend, Oregon. The next charger is the next DC fast charger is 112 miles after that. So I really, even though we've only gone 165 miles, we might as well stop and charge, fill the car back up. It won't take very long, so it won't be a full charge. But we'll have a meal there, and then it's on to Otis, Oregon. Now, Otis, Oregon is only 7 miles from that hotel on the beach, but the town where the hotel is doesn't have a DC fast charger. So we'll charge in Otis, Oregon. We'll have gone 200 miles since the previous charge, so I think that's a good place to stop. And then it's just 7 miles to the hotel, and we'll crash for the night there. And I would love it if we could get together with an environmental group. We mentioned Inland Oceans, but an environmental group that's concerned about plastic in the ocean. That would be a great time to talk to them. And it's a great place just to stop because the beach there is gorgeous. I mean, it's beautiful sand. There's a nature area right near there that's a park. So I think it's a great place just to sit and enjoy the scenery. And, you know, it'll be a pretty busy day, or 3 days getting to that point. So I think the next morning we'll just kind of take it easy. And then we'll get up and head to the final stop, which is Olympia, Washington. But on the way there, and we may not have to stop, but right now I've got us stopping in a Home Depot parking lot where they've got a big bank of Electrify America DC fast chargers, and I always like to see a big group of them together. But Home Depot sells solar panels, and so I would
Okay,
love
this one in Chehalis, Washington.
Yep, Chehalis, Washington. I don't know if we're pronouncing that right. Yeah, but that'd be a great time to. I'd like to find out has that Home Depot store successfully sold solar panels, and if so, do they have a local contractor that they're working with to install them? And I'd love to meet them and talk about that, because most people think they've got to go buy them from some solar panel company. Well, no, you can go buy them from Home Depot if you want, and you just have to have an electrician install them. And then from there, it's just 29 more miles to Olympia, Washington. And I believe you've already got somebody lined up for us to talk to in Olympia, right?
Yeah, Governor Inslee.
Governor Inslee, yeah. So that'll be great. And we'll spend the night there in Olympia. But we can either meet the governor that night or that evening when we arrive in town, or the next morning before we depart, and talk to him about, I know he's really into electric vehicles. And then that spreadsheet I sent you, at the very top of the spreadsheet, it shows the elevation change during the drive. The only challenging part on the spreadsheet, it's a red cell. We're going to climb 174 feet per mile on average over a 25-mile drive, and that's going from Estes Park up to the Alpine Visitor Center. And then coming down from there, we're going to be going downhill at a rate of 148 feet per mile of driving for 23 miles. So, electric vehicles aren't perpetual motion machines, but that's going to let us put a lot of energy that we expended going uphill back into the battery going downhill without...
So the regen braking?
Yeah, we won't actually be using brakes. We'll be using the forward inertia of the car to regenerate the car. And if you scroll down in that spreadsheet, we have another dark blue cell, and that's going from
Summit County, Sheldon,
Park City, Utah.
Yep,
down to Salt Lake City. We're going to drop 107 feet per mile, so that's going to be great regen. And then later on, we've got one more uphill section going from Ontario, Oregon, up to Willow Creek, Oregon. We're going to be in the mountains and this time it's only 78 feet per mile of driving that we're going uphill. But all those greens that you see and yellows that you see are easy driving in an EV, so I don't see any of this as being challenging.